Welcome back to another episode of Wealth Matters for Financial Dominion podcast. I'm your host, Lenita Reeves, owner and founder of Purpose House Publishing, the company that brings you Wealth Matters podcast as well as other great podcasts. In this episode, we are offering great wisdom for wealth building, including concrete steps anyone can take to save and generate wealth. We expound upon the belt concept that was introduced last week, which is great insight for couples trying to put their finances together. Rob Wilson rejoins us and gives the listening audience a window into generating higher income than they ever imagined, as he, who has traveled the speaking circuit with Les Brown, Tavis Smiley, and others, talks about the moment he realized, the first time he realized that nothing could stop him from being wealthy. Remember, you can support the podcast because it is your support that allows us to keep bringing you great content. You can support us via Cash App. Cash App is $PH Publishing. Venmo is at Purpose House. PayPal, you can go to paypal.me/Purpose House. We're also on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Purpose House. And for all of this information and more, you can go to our webpage for Wealth Matters, which is purposehouse.net/Wealth Matters. Let's get into this episode. You're going to be blessed and tremendously informed. And we are live. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wealth Matters for Financial Dominion podcast. I'm excited to have back with us today, again, Rob Wilson.
Yes.
Who stirred up some controversy last week, but it was good controversy. It got people thinking. Yeah, it got people thinking, and it got people doing some reflection and some introspection, which is always good. And so here at Wealth Matters, we are continuing a conversation on financial dominion because wealth matters for the kingdom and to the kingdom. And we are in a post-coronavirus era, and we cannot continue to operate the same way. I believe it's a clarion call, a wake-up call for us to take our wealth building and our wealth management seriously, and to be like the sons of Issachar who have understanding of the times and know what Israel ought to do. We need people who have understanding of wealth building and wealth management and know what the people of God ought to do concerning this area of their life, because we're going to need resources and wealth and money like never before to take the gospel to all nations in this environment, even online, to use all the technology and do all of what we need to do. So, Rob, welcome back to the show. We're glad to have you. Last week, I introduced you. I want you to introduce yourself this week and just tell the people who you are and why you are uniquely positioned to talk to them about wealth building and wealth management.
Wow. I've been teaching personal finance for over 25 years. I've been a financial coach for the probably last 15 years. I did talk radio for the last 15 years, and teaching personal finance and money management has become a way of life for me. That's all I do. That's my focus every day.
Okay.
And I pride myself to be different than my competitors, because in my industry, we can make a lot of money, and we do make a lot of money. I have to say that. And a lot of people jump into this field for the money. I jumped in this field for the passion. This is my ministry. This is where God has blessed me to be able to bring people to a place in their financial life that would change their life forever. As I stated last week, I work from the area of providing, protecting, and preserving the way of life for you and your family. If I turn those keys over to you, then I give you life that is self-sustainable. There's this old adage that everybody's familiar with it. You give a man a fish, he eats for a day.
Okay, right.
If you teach him to fish, he eat for a lifetime. So my thought is, what are you teaching him to fish with? You teaching him to fish with a rod, or are you teaching him to fish with a net?
Okay.
So there's a difference there, because now the ability for a person who fish with a rod, yes, he can eat for a lifetime. He's going to eat every day, and it probably requires him every day or every other day to go back out to that location and cast his rod.
Okay.
But if he fish with a net, the opportunity for him to be able to not only just eat for a lifetime, but also create a source of revenue for him and his family that establishes a whole nother generational process in his life. And that's what wealth is, you know. And it's funny because
wait. You talking that I don't want to miss that, because what you just said is so important. So every now and then I might slow you down, because I don't want people to miss what you just said. No, it's very important.
Okay.
You said you framed wealth from a generational standpoint.
Yes.
And I think that is something that we need to unpack. Can you talk a little bit more about that? We need to unpack that.
Well, first you have to run away from people who first tell you, you know, whenever you find people that promote the idea that having a lot of money, it makes you successful. That's not true. Having a lot of money makes you capable, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Teaching a man how to fish, how to go out and dig. And see, here's the thing about learning how to fish. Did they teach you how to get worms, right? Because if they taught you how to dig the hole, pour the water in the ground, and allow the worms to come up to you, then you can sit there and fish all day long, right? So you got to learn that process. Well, I never learned how to fish with a pole, but I did learn how to fish with a net. So when I cast that, I'm expecting an abundance of fish. I'm expecting an abundance. In our financial lives, we have to be in the area of expecting an abundance in order to be able to facilitate everything that we want in life.
Okay.
So when I talk to people and I'm trying to get them to understand, your financial freedom is oftentimes a moment away. It's oftentimes a moment away. And when you realize that, you'll be able to change the dynamics of the things that you're doing.
Okay.
That makes sense?
It does make sense. It also makes sense to me that wealth is generational. And one of the things that I have really tried to do, especially in the last 4 weeks, is to think beyond myself and to think generationally.
Right.
And to see and examine. I'm fairly analytical, and to think about what I need to change in order to really be able to leave something generationally. And when you think that way, you can't always spend for yourself, think about yourself. Well, to a certain extent, I think that, and it's okay for us to disagree, but to a certain extent, I think that we have been trained to be selfish to a certain extent. But remember, I'm coming from the perspective of taking the gospel to the world. And and that's really what is driving Wealth Matters for me. So it's been, for the last 4 weeks, I've tried to really shift and think nations and what is it going to take to go global and take the gospel to the nations. So that's why I say what I say. And it's okay for us to disagree, because I know that you teach a little bit differently when it comes to wealth building. That you don't have to starve, and you don't have to give up the things that you enjoy. So why don't you go ahead and talk about that?
Well, and it's not that I don't think that we necessarily disagree. I think I'm disagreeing on the process of how you stated it.
Okay.
See, because I want to create the atmosphere for you to be able to shop, spend the way you want to. Okay. So in order for me to do that, I have to change a behavior or a perception of a behavior that gets you to that point of realizing that I have the capacity to do so. Here's the thing. This is what I want to ask you and the audience that's listening. If you had the ability to walk into a store right now,
mm-hmm.
and you walk into that store, and your first evaluation of the store is, well, I can only get 1 or 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or you walk into that store
okay.
with the capacity of saying, there's not a single thing that's on the shelf in here that I can't buy that I want.
Okay.
That's financial freedom, right? And to be able to get to that place is a mindset. See, once you set your limit to, there's some people that would never make more than $50,000, $60,000 a year, because every time they go to their job and or apply for a job, or they try to go get work, they're always going to place a salary on their abilities of 50, 60, 70,000, because that's what they feel their net worth is, or that's what they feel their ability or their skill level is. I remember one time I was with Les Brown, and we was out speaking. And because I was with Les Brown, I watched him make money that I'm like, man, these guys are pulling in like $85,000 for 45 minutes. And it wasn't even a whole 45 minutes, because 8 minutes, they had the people laughing, And so I was like, wow. And then I don't know if you remember these tours. I don't know if I really want to mention this, but there used to be a real estate expo that was traveling around to like 12 cities every year.
Okay.
Donald Trump, Tavis Smiley.
Yeah, Tavis Smiley.
David Bach.
Yeah.
David Bach. All of those was on, they were the main draw.
I remember that.
So here's little Rob Wilson. I'm backstage too. But I got on that ticket. And for the first time in my life, somebody was paying me like $25,000 for a 30-minute little input, and then they say, hey, Rob, we might have to cut your time down because, Les ran over, Tavis ran over, Donald want to get in early so he could get out. Whatever it was, I go up there, hey, I'm Rob Wilson. Okay, bye, see you. Contract was still the contract.
You still got paid. Okay.
I still got paid. That opened my eyes to being able to put a value on my worth, in terms of the next time somebody asks me to speak, I'm like, I need a 4-star hotel. I need a car. I don't necessarily need a driver. I need a per diem each day. And my cost to speak at your event would be $15,000, $20,000, whatever that is. If you need me for multiple days, let's work out an arrangement. I need a first class flight, round trip, and I need to bring one of my assistants with me because I'm gonna need to be there more than 2 days. And so you start negotiating what your worth is and what your value is based on where you want to be. You have to do that in your work life. Your skill and your talent, your ability to do things is what God has given you, and you have to put a value on it. And if it doesn't work out at this particular place, and this is the unique thing that I want people to understand, if it doesn't work out for you at this location, don't change your mindset and say, well, I'm never going to be able to make more.
Okay.
I'm never going to be, you have to set that value, and then you have to ascend that value. Now, here's something that I want to be realistic, because some people are going to say, look, dude, that don't work for me. Okay. Right now, I need to learn how to master $50,000. This is my income. This is where I'm at. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm considering filing bankruptcy. I've had a car repossessed. I've had some financial hardships. I need to know, what do I do from this place to navigate and change my life? And that's where I meet people at, because people are hurting financially. And I want them to be able to understand that they can experience financial freedom in a different way.
Okay.
I want them to be able to understand that, managing my money differently can create wealth for me. Having a savings, buying stocks, don't be satisfied because you got $200 in the bank. I got a class coming up starting next Tuesday, a week from yesterday. And starting next Tuesday, and it's an 8-week class. And some of my previous students are saying, hey, look, I'm getting on this class.
Okay.
I'm like, why you getting in? Why you getting in? You've already taken the class. Well, I heard you adding new things in it. Well, I am. One of the things that I'm adding is how to be offensive and defensive in your financial life. See, most people don't have a plan. They simply don't have a plan. And it doesn't have to be a long book. It doesn't have to be a 50-page book. You could do an executive summary on your financial life. Okay. Here's your executive summary. I want to commit to owning a home. I want to commit to having financial freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I want to commit to accumulating assets. I want to commit to eliminating debt. What is my process in doing these things?
That's it. Is people don't know where to start.
Yeah. What is my process? Well, the first thing, I don't care what you do, care how you try to do it. If you don't create a budget, let me say that again. If you don't create a budget is the first thing. But let me tell you how I coach it in a class. First thing, you have to honor God. You got to pay your tithes.
Got to pay your tithes.
Got to pay the tithes. That's a very small fraction. That's 10%. That's a very small fraction of your income. Okay, mm-hmm. Very small fraction. You waste more than that on your own. Okay,
that's right.
So
that's what I'm talking about. That's the part I'm talking about. The waste.
Give God the 10%. And when you give God the 10%, you'll find that 90% now expands far beyond you ever believed. Because what happens now is you have a different focus. You have a completely different focus. If I teach you to save offensively, well, what am I going to eliminate out of your life? Let me tell you. I'll tell you two things. I'm going to tell you, stop saving money for a rainy day. Gone.
Okay.
Stop trying to have an emergency saving. Gone. You're like, oh, whoa, dude, come on now. Everybody tell us we need money for a rainy day. We need to have money for emergencies. No, see, when you have money for emergencies, that's putting a cap on your ability. Because when you start saying you need money, how much money should you have, Pastor Reeves? What they tell you, 3 to 6 months?
3 to 6 months of your expenses saved.
3 to 6 months of your expenses saved. So let me ask you a question.
That's what they tell you.
Let me ask you a question though. Would you prefer having 3 to 6 years of your earnings?
Yeah.
Or 3 to 6 months?
3 to 6 years, of course.
So now your offensive thinking is, I need to accumulate as much wealth as I can. The difference is this: a person who is trying to save money to rent a car and a person who decide that I'm going to buy a car.
Okay.
Or I give you another analogy. If you go to a rent-to-own company and you get a 55-inch TV remote with, what is it called? Social media ready.
Okay.
It's completely ready. Only thing you got to do, plug it in and go, and you can do everything on it, right? You even have a built-in PS4, right? So let's say you can, and I'm just throwing that in there, right? So you can go and you can rent that, and you can pay $39 a week for 18 weeks to own that. Well, you say, oh, that's not a lot. That's not bad. $39 a week for 18 weeks. So now,
oh, no.
You walk into the retail store and you can buy the same item for like $340.
Yeah.
So the rent to own, even though it was no credit check, it was easier. They delivered it today. It looks nice. And say, some people would justify this. They would come back and they would justify and say, well, I could always take it back. But you gave up money.
Yeah, you wasted money in the process.
You gave up money, and you gave up enough money that you could have owned it. And so what I want people to do is own parts of their financial future. So I teach them to save. I teach them to save beyond 90 days, beyond 60 days. Go with the attitude, there's no cap on my ability to save. Okay. And what that does is it changes how you now take you all the way back to when I asked you, how would you like to walk into a department store? Realizing that I can buy one of these, or I can buy anything in here that I want.
Yeah, see, anyway, I'm not the best person to ask that question because I'll be giving it away. I'll be giving it away to folks. But anyway, that is a very, very key point. There's no
put me limit on that list. Put me on that giveaway
no
list.
Problem.
Right?
No problem. There's no cap. I like the way you said that there's no cap on our ability to save. I really like that. It's a different way of thinking, a different way of framing it. But the analogy that you use with the rent-a-center is so apropos, especially in our community.
Yes.
That we will rent stuff. We don't have an ownership mindset all the time because we feel like ownership is out of our reach.
But just understanding that gives you clarity on the challenge that we face in our financial lives in our community. It's the same difference. That's why I said, yes, we could teach a man how to fish with a rod, but what if he would cast in a net to fish?
Yeah. What if he would cast in a net?
What if all of the individuals that's on this view right now, I'm not talking about the ones that's going to join later and watch a replay. I'm talking about those that's here right now.
Okay.
Made a decision that I'm going to change the course of my financial life and I'm going to take the first step. Right? And you make that decision to take the first step. Now, two things is going to happen. One is, are you really committed to that step? And if you're committed to that step, then are you going to make it? Are you going to take that step? Well, the first thing is, oh, that costs money. So you step back from it. I give you a crazy little quick analogy. A young lady was she had just purchased a home and she wanted a mortgage reduction program.
Okay.
And so she was going to join a biweekly program. The biweekly program told her it costs $800 to set it up, and it will cost $2 per payment. That means over the course of the year, it was going to cost that's $4 a month. So actually it's 26. So it's going to cost her like $152 a year annually, plus the $8. But here's the thing. Here's the challenge. She looked at that $8 and like, you crazy. I'm not giving you $8. And why I have to pay $2? This is something I could do for myself, right? But you're not going to do it for yourself because you don't have the discipline. And then most banks won't allow you to just sporadically do it yourself because you won't keep it up consistently. So let's go back to the fact that, okay, here's the program. You're going to fight over $800. If the program worked, which it will work, and it saves you, it knocks off 10 years off your mortgage. That means it knocked off perhaps $40,000 to $50,000 in interest that you would have paid otherwise. You follow me?
I do.
And it costs you $8,000. It costs you $10,000, whatever that cost would be to get to that 20-year cycle of making those payments at $2. Well, why I got to pay for it? You're paying for it to get the advantage.
Yeah.
You're paying for it to get the advantage. Now, me personally, being a financial educator, I know you can beat that system. But if you're not comfortable with going with someone else's system, either way, there's a cost in front of it. Or there's complications in front of it. We should never let cost or complication prevent us from making a financial decision to change our own lives.
That's an important point. And that goes back to something that you said last week. I asked you what was the greatest challenge to wealth building and wealth management, and you said individual readiness.
Yes.
What does individual readiness comprise? Because a lot of times people say, I'm gonna do better. I need to do better. Or I'm gonna get a budget. I'm gonna all of this. But what are some earmarks of someone who's truly ready to do something?
They are sick and tired of what they have had over the last few years of their lives. They're sick and tired. Okay. I mean, having the financial readiness, oftentimes people say, well, when I make more money, I save. And there's probably people listening to this and watching this right now saying, well, right now I can't save any money. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Well, then I would ask you, do you actually have a budget? Well, I don't need a budget because I got money coming in, I got money going out. Well, yeah, but here's something that I share in my classroom, and I share it here with the audience today. Every single entity, and I want you to hear this very carefully, and I hope it haunts you the rest of your life until you do something about it. Every single entity that you deal with operates with a budget. There's not one single entity that you deal with that do not have a budget established.
That's true.
And you're going to walk around and say, I can do this. I'm going to navigate my way through this. You want to talk about redlining. You want to talk about people holding you back, people preventing you from doing these things. Listen, if you understand the system, you'll position yourself inside that system so that that system works for you just as it will for anyone else. Mm-hmm. Because money inside a financial institution have not the ability to judge who you are, male, female, what your gender is, what your sexual orientation is. It just see, hey, money. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm money. Money begets money. Mm-hmm. So when you understand that if you put money in the system, your money is going to act just like somebody else's money will act.
Okay. I want to ask you this. I want to ask you this question. You talked about being on tour with Trump and Les Brown and Tavis Smiley, and that was a moment where you saw that you didn't need to be limited on your worth.
Your demand changes.
Demand change. When was the moment? Was that the moment, or was there another moment where you realized that there was nothing stopping you from being wealthy?
Oh no, I was already wealthy by then.
Okay, so what was that moment when you realized it?
They wouldn't associate with me if I had no money.
I hear you.
I wasn't backstage. I wasn't moving boxes around. I was wearing a suit.
I hear you. But what was that moment? What were the circumstances around that?
You know, it was actually something that I had awakened to.
Okay.
Really. And I say that to give you a very short story. In the process of me coaching and working my company and helping families, during the time that I was building my company, they had just started this new program called Welfare to Work. And they was taking single moms that was on welfare, taking them off of welfare, and they had to go out and learn a trade or a skill. So I was able to put 14 women to work inside my company. And they did excellent jobs. They worked as clerical people. Some of them became coach, where they was like, okay, they would do the first intake. You know, they was very different people. But at the same time, we didn't have the social media platforms we have now. We were doing everything through fax. And I was doing radio in probably like 15 cities at the time. And it was call-in shows, pretty much like what we're doing, but it was just on radio in another city. You know, okay. I was at Detroit, Houston, all over. And so all of a sudden, I'm getting these requests to speak. And so we set this parameter. Well, how much can I get? Okay, we're going to tell them $12,000 plus expenses. And people were like, okay, and they were writing a check. And so all of a sudden, you know, you're doing 10, 15 speaks a week, and, you know, you done picked up $150,000, and you're like, wow, that was easy. And then, you know, and now you're doing it again, and then, wow, that was easy. And then within like 6 to 8 months, you go and you look at your payroll, and you're looking at things, and you go, wow. And it really got to a point where I was calling my bank, because then we couldn't just go look at our bank account, right? Okay. So we had to call the number and say, your bank account is 1,003,1,400, you know, blah, 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 whatever that number was. And you just listen to it just to hear it. Just to hear it. And I remember one time I went to this function, and it was, I never forget. It was Memorial Day weekend. And I had one of my cousins with me who grew up with me in the projects, who knew that I was born and raised poor, who knew that, you know, I was just an everyday Joe. And I said, listen, I want you to hear something. And I, you know, went to the phone booth and I called the bank and did the 800 number and I put the phone up to his ear. He's like, what's that? I said, that's my bank account. That's my bank account. So it happened, it kind of sneaked up on me, but the reality was I started doing the due diligence.
Okay.
I started understanding that because I made $12,000, I didn't have to spend it in a nightclub.
Oh my gosh, please say that again. Please say that again. Please say that again.
Yeah, because I made $12,000, I didn't have to spend it in a nightclub. And I'm gonna tell you something. When I became financially focused and business conscious, the nightclub, the streets, drugs, all of those things had already worked their way out of my life. Okay. So the things that will suck my money from me was already gone.
So there's got to be an aspect of focus, right?
Oh yes,
there's
absolutely.
Got to be an aspect of focus. So what I hear from you telling that story is that when you became focused and started to operate out of your strengths, you call it tags. When you began to operate out of those things that you were good at doing, that it just seemed easy for you to do, right? I mean, you could speak all day. Like if I know that, like you could talk all day. If somebody give you a microphone, you could talk.
Sip of water.
Sip of water and you ready to go. So when you started to find those things and focus on them and hone them and just throw yourself into them and remove the distraction of the nightclub. You know, we don't have time to be up in the club. I tell my church that all the time. You don't have time for that. You know, that's what I hear of that story, that you began to focus, distractions were removed. You did the things that you were naturally gifted to do, and the compensation started coming. But by that time, what is key to what you said also, by that time, a lot of the foolishness had already been removed out of your life. And that's what I want people to understand. Get the foolishness out your life. You know, it may seem like a sacrifice at that moment to remove those things. But what I'm saying is the payoff is things like what you just shared with us.
So
okay,
if someone that's listening right now, watching, real quickly can say, what would be the most proficient way to save $1,000 in 1 year?
So the question is, what is the most proficient way to save $1,000
in 1 year?
In 1 year,
without changing your lifestyle. How many of you think it's possible? If you think it's possible, say, I think it's possible. How many of you think, that's going to be hard? It's going to be hard.
No, that's possible. So type in the comments.
Yeah. Now you say it's possible, but see, so what makes you say it's possible?
Because I have a level of plan with my finances.
Okay.
I mean, I know what I would need to do that right now.
Okay.
And I've done it before. So.
And you've done it before. And see, and I'm going to choke you through. I'm going to do a virtual choke on you, right?
Please, don't do that.
The reason why I'm going to do a virtual choke on you is because, you know, I ask people oftentimes, like, when they say, I've done that before. You done what before? Well, I made a lot of money before. So why are you not making a lot of money now?
Uh-huh.
You know, the idea or the process of a seed is to reproduce itself. So how can you celebrate a moment of, I did that before. I had one of those. I lived over that, but, you know, no, I still do. And that's where we have to be. So did we get any responses?
Yeah, we got several people who said they think it's possible.
They think it's possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So let me tell all of you how possible it is. It's very simple. $19.76 a week will save you over $1,000 a year.
There you go.
That's less than a 20.
Less than a 20. Okay.
Less than a 20. $19.76 will save you over $1,000 a year. Every single one of you that's listening to me right now can sit here and say, I wasted 20 a week. You either blew it at Starbucks, Walmart, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, chicken sandwich, somewhere. You wasted a 20 over the course of 1 week. So what I would say to you, how often would you be able to channel that and just say, you know what? Because this is what I say to people. How long you been, I asked them, I said, how long you been working? I've been working since I was 16. So how long is that? Well, I'm 32, that's been 16 years. So you should have at least $16,000 in the bank. And they look at me like, you crazy. No, you should have $16,000 in the bank, because for every week that you work, for every day that you work, for every week that you work, if you save a 20 every week, you will have over $16,000. That's literally how simple it is to save money. Now, that $1,000 is not a lot of money, and it's not going to create a whole lot of wealth for you without taking other steps. But I want you to believe and know that, you know what, I can save $1,000.
There it is.
And this is not I pay myself first stuff. I didn't say none of that. See, this is I'm gonna take 10% of my money, I'm gonna put it over. I didn't say any of that. What I said to you is $20 a week. Some of you waste $20 a day. So if you one of those people say, well, I don't do it a day, I might do it every other day. So that means you are wasting $3,000 to $7,000 a year to nothing. To nothing. So I want you to realize that, and now that should be that call to reckoning for you. Like, okay, I could change that. I could change that in my life. And being able to change that in your life will open a tremendous door for you, because now you go from getting $1,000 saved to getting your second $1,000 saved. But the idea is, hold it. I know I'm on a path to save $1,000 over the course of the year. What can I do differently elsewhere in my life to help accumulate more wealth?
Okay.
See, because before I start telling you that you need to be in the stock market, you need to be in your own market. You need to put value on you. You need to build a financial fingerprint, a financial foundation around yourself. Because the moment that you do that, then everything else becomes possible. Okay.
All right. So let's say that we accomplish that. Let's say that we start investing in ourselves, and, you know, we embrace what you just said, you know, and we realize that we're wasting a 20. We start to turn that around. We start to save it. A lot of people then wonder, how do I start investing? How can I have money make money for me?
Well, the process that you just started, the 20, can become your foundation. There's a program out there, I call it create a ladder for yourself financially, right?
Okay.
So you now are committed to $20 a week. You realize that you could do $20 a week, and your sleep is not even affecting your finances. It's not even bringing an impact onto your household. So now you got to look at, okay, can I do that twice? Can I do 2 20s a week? Can I say 2 20s a week? So now you have one savings where you build in a savings for your personal foundation. This is like your personal investment. Because see, before you go and invest in the market, and I want all of you to listen to this very carefully, before somebody bamboozle you to go out and invest in products and the market and all these other things, if you don't build your financial foundation within your own system, right? When there is a crisis, and there will be a crisis, there's nothing new under the sun. The moment that you begin to save money, you're going to begin to have challenges. Things are going to pop up, right? And when they pop up, I want you to be able to go to this place and get this money and solve that problem. If all you have is investments and you have not put a substantial savings, when you go to that investment, know that you're going to lose 30% of that money, if not more. You got to pay the taxes on that investment, and then you got to pay the penalty of withdrawal from that money. And don't allow someone to tell you that you're paying yourself back. That's another comfortable, not happening scenario. You know, so the game plan would be, I'm starting the first phase of savings. Now I'm going to create the second phase of savings. Maybe I'm going to open up a savings, a checking, and a money market. Those are the first three things that you do. And then you go from there, you want to look at a CD. And yes, you're not going to make any money in a CD. No, you're not going to make a dime. It's not even there. The CD is for your banking purposes, so that when you have to borrow money from the bank and the bank look at you, you have assets with them that allow them to want to lend to you. Okay. Right. So that changes that picture. And so now you start investing in a Roth or individual retirement account. They are two separate things. A Roth, you can put money in a Roth and that money ends up being not taxable. You put it in an individual retirement account, it becomes taxable. So you need to be able to understand that. Then you have to look at, how am I protecting my life? Do I have these things and the scenario of the things that's going to protect me and my family? Do I have adequate insurance? Now I can pay premiums towards protecting my car, protecting my home, protecting my life, and then get some disability insurance. It's pennies on the dollar for what it reaps for you. Because, I've known women who ended up with breast cancer, who bought a disability policy that was like $3-4 a month, right? And then when they found out they had cancer, and in addition to all of the other policies, Aflac came and started paying them a check. You seen the commercial, Aflac, you seen it, it's real. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money. It just costs the diligence. So now you have the process. And I know you say, well, how do you start investing, having your money reinvest itself? It's really about the foundation. How do an athlete have the ability to go out on Sunday and perform? All week long, he's training. I'm giving you financial training things that you have to do to build your financial structure, to build your financial fingerprint. Mm-hmm. And then here's the key element. Once you get that focus really taken care of, and you start now targeting the debts that are in your life, mm-hmm. and eliminating them, then that will restore to you your income. The majority of the people that's listening to me now, probably, if you sit down and roll out everything that you pay, 22 to 38% of what goes out of your household goes out to obligations, debts. I'm not talking about light, gas, water, cable. I'm talking about credit cards. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about personal loans. I'm talking about student loans. I'm talking about car notes. When you start looking at that percentage of money, so if you're making $10,000 a month, then you're already saying that $3,800 is gone because I'm paying debts. Once you begin to bring that money back into your fold, your wealth capacity begins to create more opportunities for you. Because the object of wealth is this. This is where you are on a normal scale. But now you got a lot of debt, and you can't see my hand now. Well, let me see. No, you see my hand. This is debt.
Yeah.
Down here is wealth.
Mm-hmm.
As you eliminate your debt, you create your wealth, and the cycle change. The cycle change. And once you get that change in your life, once you get here, okay, then you understand that, I can have credit cards in my life. I can have mortgages, car notes in my life. I can have these things in my life, but now I know I can defeat them. Most people, they live every year with a goal of, I'm gonna get out of debt this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, how many want to become debt free?
I hope all of you, everybody listening.
I hope you don't want to become debt free.
Most people do though.
But don't want to become debt free. Homeless people are debt free.
Mm-hmm.
Homeless people are debt free. You want to be able to become financially sovereign, financially wealthy, financially stable. And people say, well, I'm not chasing money. Money ain't everything. Read your Bible. I'm doing a Bible lessons right now that God owned my business. It's titled God Owned My Business. Mm-hmm. And it was telling me how, hey, Rob, you're in business, but you know what? You are a co-owner or a co-founder of your business because God created everything.
That's right.
You're in business with God, right? So when you understand that your business partner is the creator of everything, then now you have a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
In your walk, I have the confidence that I could go and speak to 10, 15,000 people. When I go into a room, look, I speak Ebonic.
I understand.
I speak Ebonics. I've never learned phonics. Never learned phonics.
You never got hooked on phonics.
Never did. Never did. I was in Chicago. There was an audience of B.E.L.T. Smith was the host of the event. And I was so intimidated because people like Dr. Claude Anderson, Tavis Smiley, Tony Brown with Tony Brown Journal, all these elegant speaking characters was on stage before me.
Sure.
Right? I walked out there. I say, look, guys, I'm going to give you some stuff you ain't never heard before. And I might split a vowel here or do something over here. But look, I don't speak English well. I never learned phonics. But by the end of this event, I believe that most of you is going to agree with me. I'd rather say I is rich than I am poor.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Please hear that.
I hear you.
So I don't mind having a disadvantage at times, but it doesn't hinder me from my wealth creation. So if you have a disability, if you have insecurities, if you have doubt, if you have mistrust, let me tell you, you can overcome every financial need that you ever dreamed of by simply making a choice to changing the direction. It begins in the mindset. There's a poverty mindset, there's a wealth consciousness. The wealth consciousness and the poverty mindset, they look alike. They look identical. I'm trying to see if I had something that I can give you a prop on, but they operate, they go down the same road. Mm-hmm. But one of them have the ability to understand that I'm going to do something different. If I ask you this question, and many of you have heard this, what is the major difference between wealthy people and poor people? Wealthy people continue to do the things that keep them wealthy. Poor people continue to do the things that keep them poor. And that's a fact. And I know our time is probably running out, but I want to throw another nugget at you real quick. There are 28.5 grams in an ounce. Remember that, 28.5 grams in an ounce. Mm-hmm. In our current environment, people are now saying that you should buy and own gold. Mm-hmm. Right? I will agree, but you should never buy gold by the gram.
Okay, why?
Because when you go and research, they're selling you gold by the gram for $99. If you do the math, 28.5 grams in an ounce, that means in order for you to own an ounce of gold at $99 per gram, mm-hmm. you are going to pay over $2,800 for an ounce of gold.
Okay.
I have no idea what the gold is trading for today right now, but if you Google gold and its trading price for gold, it's mm-hmm. probably around $1,300 an ounce.
Okay.
I hope y'all heard that.
Yeah.
I hope you heard that.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that sound so perfectly good, and that is one of them. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes you have to do the investigation.
The due diligence.
Yeah. How many grams in an ounce? And you want to charge me $99 per gram? Only thing you have to do is go see now what the price of gold sell for in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Question for you on some things that you said, because we're winding up on our time. If you're listening and you have questions for Rob, send them now, because we're winding down on our time. I want you to, there were a couple of follow-up questions. One was about B.E.L.T. And then one, which I think you've addressed, was where someone was not clear on why you shouldn't pay more than the minimum amount on a credit card. So if you can quickly talk about B.E.L.T. and then quickly talk about why you shouldn't pay more than the minimum on a credit card.
B.E.L.T. is something that I designed. And see, I'm gonna throw something else out of y'all gonna want to know about that. But I used to teach a process called frogging. Okay. And frogging is how you manage your money. B.E.L.T. came from the frogging process. What is B.E.L.T? B.E.L.T. is building an economical life together. Now, I don't care whether it's the man or the woman that's bringing the conversation of the belt to the table. I use the terminology, a man should use a belt on his woman to get your attention, because I want you to like be all angry. I want you to be upset. I want you to buy into this idea of, no, he didn't. And I want to come back and say, yes, I did. Because I want you to be encouraged that your man, your spouse, your partner, your mate have the ability to have the attitude and the mindset of working together with you, building an economical life together. It could be you that's carrying the belt, and you can say, honey, I'm gonna use a belt on you, whatever that is. One of you need to get the focus on, how do I build an economical life together? How do I create an environment that would change the way my children lives? How can I, last week I put out my mission statement for my grandson. And I said, by the age of 10, he's smart, he's intelligent already, he's already focused. I said, by the age of 10, he would be the president and the CEO of his own company. By the age of 20, he would have sold his company and he would start helping other people build their corporations and their companies. By the age of 20, by the age of 30, he will become a serial entrepreneur where he's going around and he's becoming a philanthropist around the world, because I want to create the environment that he will have wealth now. I'm doing that. Okay. So now I need to train him in those things. Building an economical life together allows a husband and a wife, a partner, two partners that come together for the same mission. There's a lie being told to you every day. And I say it's a lie, but it's not necessarily a lie. It's a lie in my aspect of it, because they say financial issues is the number one cause of divorce. And I disagree with that. I believe the lack of communicating is the number one cause of divorce. Because if the two of you were fighting over the dog and what kind of food the dog eat, then it becomes the dog. Mm-hmm. But if the two of you start having that conversation about, honey, well, we really need to give him a more healthy diet, and you both agree, then that problem is solved. The same thing with financial issues. It doesn't matter who's the breadwinner. The focus is, how do we both provide, protect, and preserve a way of life for our family? And if you're on that mission together financially, then you change the course of your life. You change the course of your children's lives. Mm-hmm. And it can happen. And I'm telling you, if you're listening to me today, right? Now, this is a sad plug, but I'm plugging. If you listen to me today, in 8 weeks, your life can be completely changed. But even if you don't come to me for it, right? If you make a decision today, a year from now, no way should you still be experiencing the same financial gaps that you're experiencing right now.
Yeah. So shouldn't be so there. Please talk about your course. We only have a few minutes left. I wanted you to talk about, why it's not good to overpay the minimum. And then please talk about your course, your Wealth Wisdom course. Okay. The reason why you don't want to overpay the minimum is the whole goal of creating wealth is giving you an advantage. If your minimum payment is $25 and you're going to send them $125, you're saying, well, I'm trying to get out of debt. But if that $125 and you're doing an extra 100 here, extra 100 there, or extra 50 here, extra 35 there, and now every month you're committed to trying to eliminate those things. Well, that sounds good, but at the same time, now you live in paycheck to paycheck. So every time you got a hardship, guess what happens? You're making late payments. You're missing payments. You all of a sudden you're starting to compromise. Just set your goals, set your budget, set your operation system to say minimum payments only. Put that $700, that $400, that $300, that $600 back into your household, and then step back and say, now I'm going to make a decisive action so that I can now take my down money, and I use the word down money, Pastor, I'm not cussing, decisive action with money. Thank you for qualifying that. I'm taking my down money and I'm being decisive with it so that I can now rediscover something for me and my family. Okay.
So, so basically it's saying, take yourself out of that paycheck to paycheck mode.
Okay. All right. Okay. You want to talk about Wealth Wisdom, your 8-week course?
Wow. Wealth Wisdom. Wealth Wisdom Stewardship is a course that for 8 weeks, and I'm going to tell you, the first week is this. You walk in and I say, I want you to forget everything you think you know about finance. I want you to forget everything that you know about money. And I want you to give me 4 weeks. 4 weeks. And then you go back and you can pick up all the things that you think you know. And then I'm going to walk you down a few things, some of them that you already heard about: paying the minimum payment, not trying to pay yourself first. I'm going to take all of those things that people have given you to say, oh, that this should work. Like, what do you call money that's left over? You call it disposable income? It's not disposable income. Diapers are disposable. Money is never disposable. So the labor that you put on your money. So we walk you through that part. And then we talk about tithing. Then we get you to sign a 90-day tithing challenge to whatever church, whatever facility that you're a part of. You got 90 days. And now you are responsible for whether or not you honor that challenge. Mm-hmm. And we won't bug you about it. After week 1, we might mention tithing to you once or twice, because tithing is a personal thing between you and God. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm gonna clear your money up. I'm gonna make it possible that you can pay God, right? You can make offerings, and then you can live good. I'm gonna show you how you can do that. Mm-hmm. But it's up to you to make that commitment. And then we walk you through a process of changing your mindset. There are like 4 different speakers. We talk about mind things. We talk about the moonwalking bear, things that happen around you that you don't even see. Mm-hmm. We give you a budget to create. And then we tell you what your debt plan is, what your financial plan is. You get a chance to see your financial freedom at play.
Is that through budget action, or is
that is part of budget action is part of that. Okay. But the main thing is this: we get into your head to show you wealth principles that's dealing with finance and dealing with money that you have stepped over all the days of your life. Okay. That has been right before you. Things that you thought somebody taken from you was right there with you. You know, and if you choose to take the class, you will hear this statement over again. Wealth, listen to me very carefully. Wherever you are right now, wealth is sitting next to you. It's at your doorstep. Right. It's never going to engage you. It's not going to say nothing to you. It's not going to say, hey, pastor. It's not going to say nothing to you. Nothing at all. But the moment that you engages wealth open up a blessing to you. Mm-hmm. And start reproducing itself. It start making, like, why haven't I done this before? Yeah. It seems so easy. Yeah. No, you have engaged wealth now. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I mean, literally, a chill just came over my body. I kid you not. If I could show you the bumps. Because once you step into that space, and then we go all the way back to Deuteronomy. Because when people tell you that money ain't got nothing to do with the Bible, the scripture tells us it is God that gives us the ability to create. It didn't say money. It didn't say finance. It said wealth, baby. Yes. And you better understand. Yes. It said wealth. It didn't say nothing else. And so if God gives me that ability, then it's sit next to me. All I have to do is begin to engage it. And I'm going to tell you something else. Money and wealth is like your boyfriend, your spouse, your wife, your husband.
You want to break it down?
You mistreat it or cheat on it, it leaves you.
There you go. All right.
Now, I want to ask, I want to do this one. How many of you know who Stanley is?
Stanley. Okay, I'm going to let them answer because I've heard this. Okay.
Anybody know who Stanley is?
I'm watching.
Stanley, real quick, tell me who Stanley is.
I don't see anything.
Stanley is one of the best examples of wealth that we could talk about in today's environment. You know, now Let me ask you this. How many of you know who MC Hammer is?
Y'all know who MC Hammer is? I'm watching the comments. I'm sure they do. I know my people do.
Okay. So if you know MC Hammer, right? Well, guess what? You know Stanley. See, MC Hammer, real name is Stanley. But when he was MC Hammer, you know, he disrespected money.
Yeah.
He disrespected wealth.
Yeah.
He lost it all.
Mm-hmm.
He had a good heart. He was a good man, but he lost it all. And then Stanley decided that he wanted to be in the IT business. And then he became a IT developer.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's an entrepreneur, and now he has an investment capital company where he raised capital to take other ventures to the marketplace. Now he's a multimillionaire, and you don't even hear. You don't even know his name.
Don't need to.
Don't need to.
Don't need to. That's
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
If you disrespect, even when you are broke, what the Bible says that a wealth of a foolish man will soon depart.
Mm-hmm.
Your money will leave you.
That's why we got to change the mindsets.
It's the mindset. It's all about
Got to change the mindset. Money is mental, right? I remember that.
Oh yes.
Money is mental. We got to change the mindsets, because if we don't change the mindset, even if you get it, you're going to be broke again. I mean, that's been proven with people who win the lottery. You know, they end up back in the same cycle because their mind hasn't changed. Listen, Rob, we have come to the end of our time. Which means
and I'm not back, and I will not be back next week.
I know you're gonna be teaching your class next week.
I will not be back.
So tell everybody where they can find your class, where they can find out more about you. So let everybody know where to go.
Okay, you can go to wealthwisdom712.com, wealthwisdom712.com,
mm-hmm.
and you can go there and sign up. But this is what I would do. And I don't know how many of you that's on today. This is what I would do. And it's only going to be for those that do it today, right? If you're interested in taking the class, go to the class, go to the email and send me a message that, hey, I was on with you and Pastor Reeves, and I want to take the class. You said not to register here because you had something else for me. What is that? Okay.
All right.
That's the only way that you will get what that is. Otherwise, you can go and register online, and we'll be happy to see you on next Tuesday. But listen, here's what I'm gonna tell you. If you can't commit to 8 weeks, don't even sign up. If you're not willing to do the work that we're gonna give you, don't even sign up. Okay. Because we are in the mindset changing business. We want to make you profitable. And if you're not ready for that journey, don't jump out there and try to see what it's like. Nah, this ain't it. This ain't it for you. Honestly, it's not something to experiment with. It's really only those of you that want to experience a different freedom. And I'm telling you, it's nothing else out there that you can do. If you take this course and you apply it, you will never need to be consulted on the basis of creating the fundamental foundation for you and your family ever again. You may want to learn some more things about investing, investment products, insurance products, wealth creation products, but that foundation to send you off, you never need it ever again. Never, ever. And that we promise.
Rob, I'm so appreciative of your time. So glad that you have been with us these last 2 weeks. And I know you're not going to be back next week, but hopefully in the future you'll be back. Hopefully in the future you'll be back.
This is what I want to challenge you with, though, because this is a space where you want to grow and develop, because you wealth matters for you.
Yeah,
and you're building. you're building that foundation. You remember they used to do things like makeovers?
Right? In what context? Home makeover, beauty makeover?
Home makeovers, beauty makeovers. Okay. So I'm going to give you something that I will commit to.
Okay.
You find a family where right now it's me and you, but we bring a family here live that's willing to expose who they are.
Okay.
Their mistakes, their challenges,
okay.
What they have to overcome. And can we fix it?
Okay.
Can we fix it? And I'll show you we can fix it.
Okay.
The only thing they need to have is an income. If you're unemployed and you're not working, I can't fix you.
Okay.
If you don't have an income. But if you got income, I could put you on that path to eliminate your debts.
Okay, so that's our next episode together. I need to bring a family, right?
Well, but bring a family, but don't just bring a family, because it's not a one episode thing.
Okay.
I really want you to take the journey of that family transitioning to where we do it over, say, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, but that family need to be committed to, all right, I want to get out of debt. Okay. I want to get out of debt. In the meantime, we'll talk off the air, and I give you some other things that we could probably do to look to bless them for taking that challenge. But the main idea is to show people that they can overcome financial challenges without putting their lives and their family at risk. Okay.
I'm grateful for that. Let's do it. Let's help a family. Let's do that. I think that's wonderful. I think that's absolutely.
We got to incorporate Rachel in this now. We got to bring my friend.
Yeah, Rachel. I think Rachel's online with us. Online. And so, I think that'll be a wonderful, wonderful
matter of fact,
partnership.
Matter of fact, we make Rachel have a family too. So we do it in 2 different spaces in the country.
All right. Let's do it.
Families. Okay?
Let's do it. Amen. Let's do it. All right. Well, you all have been blessed. I don't think you know how much you've been blessed, but we are just so grateful. And of course, you've now told us that you're going to be back because we're going to work with 2 families. So we thank God for that. Yes, we thank God for that. So we know you're going to be back, and we are just so excited, so appreciative. Thank you for the wealth of wisdom that we've received in the last 2 weeks. It's been wonderful. And I want all of you that are listening, go to the website, wealthwisdom712.com. I want you to do that. Listen, we have to support each other in the kingdom. And you are not supporting Rob Wilson. You're investing in yourself. That's what you're doing. Investing in yourself for you to get free. So visit the website, take a look at it. If you're going to commit to the 8 weeks, send the email. Don't register right away. Send the email so you can get the special. Take a look at it. And then I want you also to support the podcast. We're not sitting around with nothing else to do. We are both very busy people, and we are taking time out. Support the podcast. You've been blessed. You've received information that you would have had to pay for elsewhere. Support the podcast. You can go to purposehouse.net /Wealth Matters. You can see all the ways that you can support through Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Cash App is $PH Publishing. Venmo is @Purpose House. PayPal is paypal.me /Purpose House. Sow a seed. It's going to germinate, and it's going to reap you a harvest. Rob, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I pray blessings over your start next Tuesday with your class. I pray that it is explosive, that it's overflowing with people, and that you continue to have a platform to bless nations. God bless you, everybody. This concludes this episode of Wealth Matters. We'll be back next week. Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you.